Okay, Anthony Albanese doesn't look like he has seen that tweet from Donald Trump in the last hour that said that Iran should have made the deal. Then he's issuing a warning to the millions of people in Tehran, saying that they should evacuate immediately. Let's go live to former IDF spokesperson, senior fellow at the Foundation for Defence and Democracies and co-founder of the Bottom Line Media, Jonathan Conricus. Jonathan, welcome back to the program. Good to see you. What do we read from Trump's Truth Social post that happened around 50 minutes ago? Does this mean that Israel is about to perhaps unleash a flurry of bombardment that we haven't seen?
Yeah, good morning to you. It could. And there are reports now out of Iran of quite massive explosions. So we might be seeing that. It's maybe too early to tell. And we should always exercise caution with incoming reports, but I think that is an option. I personally just got out of the bomb shelter around an hour and a half ago. There were incoming missiles from Iran aiming at Israeli cities and infrastructure and civilians. So far, we've had 24 Israeli civilians killed by Iranian missiles. And I think, yes, the situation is still escalating. And Israel is, pursuing the goals of this campaign here, eradicating the Iranian nuclear weapons program. And in addition to that, also taking out launchers and missiles and trying to ensure that Iran won't continue to terrorize Israelis or to fund terror organizations. But the number one objective so far is the nuclear program. As far as I know, tremendous achievement so far, but with a lot of work that still remains.
Yeah, well, we see the targeted hits, obviously, but the main nuclear bunkers haven't been hit. Are they penetrable? Is it possible to hit those, 3 or 4 critical sites with the weapons that Israel have in its possession? Or is this where the US need to come in? And is that where Benjamin Netanyahu would be urging Trump?
Yeah, I think you're right. You're touching on a very important topic that is being debated between our two allied countries, Israel and the US. There's a lot to speak about the simplicity of the US delivering such a bomb. But of course, that's an American decision. If the US decides not to, then I think what Israel has shown over the last 2 years of fighting against various terrorists, but specifically the last 4 days fighting against the Islamic Republic of Iran, that evil regime, is a lot of creativity, tactical military creativity. So without going into details, my short answer to you is yes, Israel has tools that would make it possible to take even the hardened, deepest buried facilities like Fordo out of commission. It'll entail more risk to Israeli troops, but it is doable.
Nuclear weapons is one thing, Jonathan. Regime change is another. Let's not go too far back into a history lesson, but it has been some 50 years since Israel and Iran seemed to be almost on the same side. At least there was, covert cooperation and the like. If Israel is seeking regime change, who is ready there to be installed in the next leadership of Iran? And, who does Israel identify within Iran as acceptable to take on that role?
Yeah, as attractive as that idea is, and as good as it would be for the Iranian people, for the Middle East, and of course for Israel, for that evil, oppressive regime in Iran to be relegated to the dustbin of history, I don't think that it's an easy endeavor. And there are any, autocratic regime, any oppressive regime, one of their first orders of business is to make sure that there's no opposition. You don't find an opposition in China, you don't find it in Russia, and you don't find it in any other country that oppresses the population and isn't a democracy. So Iran is not anything different. There's no opposition there. There's no leaders. There are no trade unions. There are no alternate political structures that would provide that for the Iranian people. And it will have to be forged out of fighting and instability. Israel is not a kingmaker in that sense, and I don't think that Israel has designs and preferences. What Israel wants is to live in peace without the Islamic Republic of Iran building terror organizations and sending them towards Israel and funding them with weapons like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. And Israel wants that to stop. How can that be achieved? Also, more than one way to do it, but regime change is an aspiration, I would say, but I'm not entirely sure how it can be achieved. It's, Iran is such a big country far away from Israel. I would want that to happen for the Iranians and for Israel, but it is a very, very difficult endeavor.
It's hard to know what the end game, though, is for Israel when the rest of the world looks like, this strike on Iran was the start of World War III. I think it's hard to understand, what the end game, what Israel is actually trying to achieve, to live in peace, absolutely. But how you achieve that with the, it's defence, but it's also aggression part of it. Would you accept that?
No. Yeah, I mean, it's a preemptive strike, and that's the definition of a preemptive strike. That's what Israel is doing. But you could also put it into perspective of Iran waging 2.5 decades of indirect war against Israel by funding proxies, by arming them, and by killing lots of Israelis and forcing us to spend tremendous resources on defending ourselves. So it really matters how you want to frame it and look at it. Yes, Israel is taking unilateral military action because it doesn't want this crazy regime to have weapons of mass destruction. And I think that's perfectly reasonable for a country to do, especially since the Islamic Republic has an outspoken official goal to destroy what they call the Zionist entity, what I call the State of Israel. It's a goal that they have. So why wait for them to have nuclear weapons and the means to do it and not take action before? That's what Israel is doing. I remember people saying, lots of people in, politicians and media saying that in 2018, when President Trump ordered the elimination of Qasem Soleimani, they were also speaking about that this was going to unleash World War III. That didn't happen. The Iranian paper tiger didn't respond then. And what we're seeing exposed in Iran now is a lot of talk, not a lot of military capacity to defend themselves and to continue to oppress Iranians. And I think we're in uncharted territory, which is going to be very interesting and, might I add, positive for the future.